At the moment, at present, he is staying in Penang. I think many of you know him and his family members, mother and sisters are regular members or the devotees here in this temple. He is Mr. Go, former engineer who was working in Kuantan at that time. So he renounced everything and gone to America. So after staying there for some time, returned to Malaysia, and again he has gone to Thailand and studied there. Now in Penang, he is devoting his time mostly in caves and jungles, in meditation. At the same time, he is writing booklets and distribute freely in English, Chinese and Bahasa also. So he will be here for a few more days. So tonight I'm going to invite him to address our congregation. Reverend Hyde.
Chief Venerable Dhammananda, Venerable monks, dear devotees, I was given very short notice to give this talk, so I didn't have much time to prepare, so I just talk about something. It's easy to talk about the basic message or teaching of the Buddha. Maybe it's a bit old stuff to some of you, so I hope you will have the patience to bear with me. All Buddhas basically teach the same message, and this can be summed up in a few words, and that is: avoid evil, do good, and purify the mind. In Buddhism, good and evil is defined as good meaning what is beneficial to us or what is beneficial to others, and evil meaning what is harmful to us or harmful to others. If we avoid evil, that means we do not harm anybody. And the Buddha gave some guidelines, and that is the 5 precepts are the very minimum, the very basic things that we should practice in order not to harm others. You all must be very well aware of the 5 precepts. The first one, not to kill. Every being values its life, and life is the most important thing to every being. Even a mosquito that is so small, when you raise your hand to wallop it, it will fly away in great fear. Even if we lose all our possessions, there is one thing that we cannot bear to lose, that is our life. Life is the most important thing. That is why it is very important not to kill. Now, in our Theravada tradition, is vegetarianism. To many people in this country, it is very strange, because Chinese are very used to the idea that monks are vegetarians. The Buddha, in his wisdom, allowed us to take meat, but with 3 conditions. One is that we do not kill or ask somebody to kill the animal for us. For example, you cannot go to the market and ask the person who sells the chicken to kill the chicken for you. So that is the first condition. The second is that you do not see the animal being killed. And the third is that you do not hear the cries of the animal as it is killed. With these 3 conditions, we have a clear conscience because we did not cause the animal to be killed. Many people have the wrong notion that by eating meat, we contribute to the animal being killed. But actually, as each individual is concerned, actually even if we eat meat, we don't have the offense, because this can be seen in a simile. If you say that by eating meat you have contributed to killing, you have the offense karma, then say parents who bring up a child, and when the child grows up in his 20s, he turns out to be somebody like Bota Chin, who burgles, robs the bank and shoots and kills people. So if you say that by eating meat you are partially responsible, then the parents of Bota Chin also should be hanged for his crimes, because they brought him into the world and looked after him, cared for him, and because of their bringing him up, he killed people. In the same way, if a hunter, he makes his living by killing animals, and with the money earned, he provides for the wife and children. In the same way, the hunter is guilty of the killing karma, but not the wife and children, although they use the money from his killing karma. They are supported by his killing, but they are free from any offense because they never asked him to do any killing. That is why in our Theravada Buddhism, meat eating is allowed, and there is no offense in it. Now the second precept is not to steal. I think that you all are quite familiar with. If anything is left behind by somebody, even if it appears to be lost, if we think that there is a chance that the person will come back to look for it, then we should not take even something that is dropped on the ground by somebody else. The third precept is not to commit adultery. A person who commits sexual intercourse out of marriage is wrong. Sometimes a person may not appear to harm anybody else by committing adultery, but actually he harms himself, because even though it does not appear to harm other people, it works on his conscience, it pricks his conscience, so he feels very guilty. And it is probably for this reason that new diseases like AIDS appear. Formerly we never heard of AIDS, but people go and do wrong things, and it pricks their conscience, works on their mind. And the mind is very powerful. When you feel this working in the mind, this guilty conscience breaks out into this disease called AIDS. It's probably the same with cancer. That's why cancer and AIDS are diseases that don't seem to be able to be cured. When you find a cure for cancer, a new strain appears, and then you have to find another cure for it. It keeps changing, and a new strain of cancer always seems to appear. Now the fourth precept is not to steal, not to lie, not to purposely tell a lie. Because a person is judged by his word, And the Buddha said, if a person could lie to you in the face, that means he has no sense of shame. That means there would be hardly anything else that he would not dare to do. If a person can lie straight in the face, he would not be ashamed to do many other evil things. The fifth is not to take liquor, any intoxicant like dada. We don't want to have many kaki dadas around. Give us a lot of problem. As for themselves, they become useless wrecks. Just the same with alcoholics. And they are a nuisance to everybody else also. And these 5 precepts, the Buddha said, if people break these 5 precepts, they are doomed to the evil ways, down to hell. That's the surest way to go to planes of suffering, like becoming an animal or a ghost or a hell being. So these are the very minimum precepts that we must keep to keep us from evil ways, planes of woe. If we keep the 5 precepts very well, we are quite assured of having a rebirth in the heavenly planes. This is quite the guarantee that we will go to heaven. The Buddha said if a person is possessed of 4 things, he can say definitely that he is a stream winner. He has won to surety. He will never again become an animal, become a ghost, or go down to hell. What are these 4 things? The Buddha said having faith, unwavering faith, strong faith in the Buddha, that the Buddha is enlightened and the teacher of God and gods and men. Second, have unwavering faith, absolute faith in the Dhamma, the teaching of the Buddhas. The third is unwavering faith, strong faith in the Sangha, the order of monks. And the fourth is virtue. Virtue means you keep your precepts very pure. So if we have faith in the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha and we keep our precepts very pure, we are sure to walk the good way, never again go down to become an animal or a ghost or to hell. Now the second thing in the Buddha's message is to do good. In our Buddhist religion, do good means doing charity, giving, practicing dana or giving. This means to help whoever needs our help. We give what we can to help others. The Buddha said if we knew the benefit of giving, even if we had very little food to eat for that whole day, we would not mind sharing it with somebody else. The effects of giving are very great, keeping the precepts and giving. This yields very great benefits. It's like planting a seed. If you plant a rambutan seed, when it grows up, you get a tree full of rambutans. You don't get just one rambutan. Although you plant one rambutan seed, you get plenty of rambutans. But the rambutans, whether they are sweet or sour, depends on the type of seed we plant. If we plant a sweet strain of rambutan, we get very sweet rambutans to eat. If we do a bad act in the same way, we will reap plentiful but sour rambutans. We will have to suffer very much. So, avoiding evil and doing good is the sure way to heaven, to a good place of rebirth. And now some people, they don't like to keep the precepts and they don't like to come to hear the Dhamma because they have the wrong idea that if they break the precepts out of ignorance, either they have no sin or their sin is, the offense is very small. But that is a wrong idea because these laws of the nature are binding on every one of us, all living beings that exist. It doesn't matter whether we are Buddhists or we are Christians or Muslims, etc. These laws of existence bind all of us. And the Arahant Nagasena was once asked by King Milinda whether a person who commits an offense out of ignorance and a person who commits an offense purposely, whose sin is greater? Most people would think that the person who sins out of ignorance has a lesser offense. But the Arahant Nagasena said the person who sins out of ignorance has a greater offense. And why? He gave a simile. He said, suppose two persons, one had good eyesight and the other was blind, and you force each one of them to hold a red piece of red hot iron that has been heated until it's red hot. So who would be burned more, the person with eyes or the person without eyes? It would be the person without eyes, because he does not see. He will hold the piece of iron, grasp the piece of iron tighter, hold it more firmly than the person with eyes, and so he would suffer much more. It's just like the Vietnamese refugees came in the boat. People, they were caught by these pirates, and the pirates stole all their gold and raped some of them, and even threw them alive into the ocean for the sharks to feed on. And probably in their ignorance, when the sharks are eating up these people, they clap and they laugh. So these people who do these things in ignorance, their sin is very great. But a person, for example, he earns a livelihood working in the market, slaughtering the chickens. After he has come to hear the Dhamma, the next day he goes to slaughter the chickens. He will have a lot of fear because he knows that it is a wrong act. So even though he continues to do that job, he has a sense of he's contrite. He feels remorse a bit. So his sin is not so great. So a person who does not hear the Dhamma, his offenses will be much greater than a person who hears the Dhamma. Also, some people say, why must I do good? Why must I give? Why must I do charity? I don't harm anybody. That's enough. I don't kill anybody. I don't commit adultery. But the Buddha said it's not enough. We must do positive good. Not harming somebody is negative good. That means we don't harm somebody. But we don't gain positively because we don't do positive good. It is very important to do dana and as much as we can. The Buddha explained it this way. He said, every one of us, we have got obstructions in our life. For example, we want to earn a lot of money, but we cannot seem to make more money. Or we want to pass the exam or something, we want something, but we have obstructions in our life. Why? The Buddha said this is because of past evil karma that ripens now. So the only way, the Buddha said, to overcome the past evil karma is to do a lot of good karma now. Accumulate a lot of good karma now. This will help us very much. And the Buddha gave a simile. He said, evil karma from the past is like salt. Formerly, people, their salt is lumps of salt, not like now. Now we have a good life. Our salt is very fine. But formerly, salt was in lumps. So our past evil karma is similar to salt. And our good karma, our blessings, our merit now is similar to water. If your water is very little in a cup full of water, or half a cup of water, and then you put a big lump of salt inside, and then you stir. And when you drink the water, it's very salty because our water is very little. But if you take the same piece of salt and you put it in the river water and you stir and you drink the water, you can hardly feel taste the saltiness in that water. So in the same way, if we do a lot of good now, it will help to overcome our past evil karma. This is the proper teaching of the Buddha. There is no way, like some people, unfortunately, they practice repentant bowing. Bowing to the Buddha is of no use to us. If bowing to the Buddha can get rid of our sins, this is similar to the Christian practice, asking God for forgiveness. It's like asking the Buddha for forgiveness. It's no use. The only way the Buddha said to overcome our evil karma from the past is to do a lot of good now. And the Buddha also said, if two persons, one with a lot of good in him, he has a lot of blessings, and another person with no blessings because he has not done any good, not made an effort to do good. If two persons commit the same small offense, the consequences will be different. The person with no goodness in him, if he commits a small offense, the Buddha said that small offense will drag him down to hell. But the person with a lot of blessings, he does the same offense. Probably for a few days he is unhappy, he feels a bit uneasy, unhappy. But after a few days, it's all over. He doesn't have to pay any more for that offense. And the Buddha said why? Because he said, he gave a simile. Suppose a poor man came into your house, and this poor man looking around, he finds $1 or $10 or $100 lying around in your house, and then he pockets it. When you see him doing that, you'll probably report him to the police, and he will be caught and sent to the jail and locked up and get locked up. But if a rich man, a dato or a tansri, millionaire, comes to your house and he sees you have $10 or $100 lying around and he pockets it, you most probably won't go and report him to the police and get him locked up because he's so rich. If you wanted to demand the money back from him, he can pay you. He can pay you $10 or $100 or even $1,000. It's no problem to him. So two persons do the same offense is different. That's why it's very important that we accumulate a lot of blessing now. The third part of the Buddha's message is to meditate, purify the mind. When you meditate and purify the mind, that is the holy path. We are striving to walk the holy path. Now this holy path, as we meditate and cultivate our mind, is a very long process. You find that the Buddha and his Arahant disciples, they have walked this way for many, many lifetimes. So even though we are not ready at this stage to renounce and become a monk or a nun, it is quite important that we start meditating because it is a very long road, the holy path. If we start meditating now, we have the tendency to meditate and we will also make our mind clearer, and in our next life we will proceed from there. Some people, they are afraid to meditate because they say, "Chao fo yap mo," as our Chinese like to say, you go crazy if you meditate. But it is true that there is some dangers in meditation. But the basic thing that we should know, if we know some basic things about meditation, then it is not dangerous. One of the basic things to know is that when we start to meditate and our mind becomes concentrated, we gain samadhi, we go into our mind ground, then we start to, something start to come up from our mind ground. It's just like a glass of water. Say inside your glass of water, you have some mud lying at the bottom. If you don't disturb that glass of water, the mud will stay at the bottom. But if you start to disturb the glass of water, the mud will start to come up. So in the same way, when we sit down in meditation and our mind becomes concentrated, we disturb our mind ground and things start to happen. Sometimes we may see certain things or we may hear certain things, but the important thing to know is that when we meditate, when we see or hear or smell or anything, we should know that it comes from our imagination. It's not real. We should not take it for real. Like the Zen school, they have a saying, when Mara comes, it's when Satan comes, smash him. When the Buddha comes, also smash him. Because it's not real. It all comes from our mind. If we don't smash them and we become attached to it, then it can lead us probably later on to a mental breakdown. Also, another thing to be careful about in meditation is if we get any pain in the head, we should immediately stop. We should not go all out and continue meditating even if we get a pain in the head, because our head is very sensitive. Once it is damaged, as they say, blow a fuse, then it cannot be repaired. So we have to be very careful. If we get any pain, we stop for several days until the pain goes away, and then we can start meditating again. So this is the basic teachings of the Buddha. Now the other religions also teach us practically the same thing, that is to do good and avoid evil. Now what is the difference between our religion and other religions? The difference lies in the law of karma. The law of karma in Buddhism is the most important thing. If you do a good deed, you get a good result. If you do a bad deed, you get a bad result. And this is the most important law that governs us. So in the Buddha's teaching, what is important is that we have to depend on ourselves. Whether we are happy or we will be happy or suffer depends on ourselves. If we want certain things in life, we have to work for it. For example, if we want long life, we should not take other beings' lives, shorten other beings' life. If we want to be rich, we have to do a lot of dana, charity, then it will all come back to us. If we want to be beautiful, we should not always get angry and lose our temper, then we'll be very sweet next time we are born. And so all these things we have to work for it. It will not come to us on a silver plate. And the Buddha never asks us to rely on any external being. And never asks us to pray to any being and rely on the being, because the Buddha said in the Dhammapada that even the Buddha cannot help us. They are only teachers. They teach us the path, and we have to walk the path, and then we will arrive at the good destination. So, because of this reason, it seems for 500 years after the Buddha's passing away, there were no Buddha images. People who understand the real Dhamma don't have to pray to any Buddha images or any Buddhas or any Bodhisattvas. It's all in our hands. We make the effort and we will be rewarded. But the danger is that some people, they rely too much on this external being, and you don't help yourself, and that is very, very sad, because you don't realize that it's all in your hands. There are some old women, morning they light the hyo, the incense, and then they put it on the altar table and pray. Then the evening they light the incense and pray again. But in between, they scold people and fight with people and break all the precepts. And they don't realize, they think by just praying it's enough, they are very secure. But we as Buddhists, as people who want to understand the Buddha's teaching, we want to know the right Dhamma and help ourselves. So I shall end here and pass the mic to our Chief Venerable.
Just now he complained for not giving enough time for him to think what to talk. But he had some difficulty to stop, More and more ideas appeared in his mind. Just now he mentioned about vegetarianism and killing and asking others to kill. Well, he said, is it wrong for you to go and ask anybody to kill for you? So what they do, our devout Buddhists, when they go to market, some of them never say kill. They say clean. Clean this. So he's free. Never asked to kill. Our housewives are more clever than others. They are very devout Buddhists. So when they want to slaughter a chicken, what they say, they talk to this chicken and say, actually I don't like to see your suffering here in this world. I want to send you to heaven. Therefore, I cut you. After that, you can go to heaven, but I will wallop you. That is Buddhism. See how they philosophize their attitude. Whatever word we use, the important thing is our mind. That is what the Buddha said. Chetanahang bhikkhave kammang vadami. These sayings of the Buddha clarify the meaning of karma, good karma or bad karma. We can do lot of good deeds or lot of bad deeds without thinking that we want to do. We can do lot of good deeds or lot of bad deeds without thinking that we want to do. By committing such deeds, we cannot commit karma because we have not implanted or created the idea in our mind that we want to do this. Again, thinking itself also cannot create many karmas, only very few. Either we have to talk or do something after thinking. Then it will become either good karma or bad karma. So self-hypocrisy does not work. Whatever sweet words we use, it is self-hypocrisy. We know what we are going to do. Just now he summarized Dana, Sila, Bhavana, 3 stages, 3 aspects of the Buddha's teaching, how he introduced Buddhism for us to practice. The Buddha is a very practical religious teacher. He knew our difficulties. By knowing this, he introduced our religious way of life very systematically, practical way. Now when we analyze these 3, Dana, Sila, Bhavana. What is Dana? Dana means sacrificing or contributing something for the benefit of others. That is called Dana. Then why do we want to do this? The real idea is to reduce our selfish desire. By keeping selfish desire, we cannot contribute anything for the benefit of others. Without reducing selfishness, we cannot lead a respectable or noble or religious life. Impossible. Selfishness interrupts, disturbs our mind. Why? When there is selfishness in our mind, jealousy also appears. If there is no selfishness, jealousy never appears in our mind. When jealousy appears in our mind, later anger, ill will, hatred, enmity, all the evil forces followed. When anger and hatred appear in that mind, then violence, bloodshed. And now we can see, because of one mental attitude, our selfishness, how many more bad things we create, we commit. When we reduce this selfishness, we develop contentment. When contentment is there, we are not crazy for anything. And we have no jealousy because we are contented. And we never create enemies. When we can go on developing and developing, this contentment paves the way for us to cultivate more and more good qualities and virtues and knowledge and understanding. That is what the Buddha says, dana. Dana means reduce your selfishness. Then come to the second stage, sila. That is not enough. Still there are many more weaknesses in our mind. Sila means training, discipline, mentally, verbally, physically. There are three ways, three channels for us to train. When certain ideas appear in our mind, awareness of our thoughts must be there. So when we come to know that evil thoughts are haunting, disturbing in our mind, then we must know how to train that mind not to nurture, not to develop such evil thoughts in our mind. That is sila. When we use our word, there is an art of talking. There must be discipline in our words, our way of talking. We must understand to whom we are talking, what we are talking, the suitable time. By considering all these things, we have to talk. Otherwise, we can make a lot of mistakes. Again, consider the nature of the word that we use, dirty word, vulgar word, certain words which disturb and hurt others' feelings. So if we can guard our tongue when you talk, that is sila. Again, when we do certain things, either for our pleasure or for our living or something else, or to help others, we must understand what we are going to do. Whether we are going to violate the peace, happiness of others, whether we are going to disturb others, then we can avoid many things. Just now, he mentioned about the 5 precepts. These 5 precepts are not only for Buddhists, for the whole mankind, Buddhist or otherwise. When people observe, contribute a lot for the benefit of others, to maintain others' peace. We allow others to live without fear. By violating one of these precepts, we create fear in others' mind. If we can avoid these things, we allow others to live without fear. That is the highest contribution that we can do for the benefit of others. Whether they are Buddhists or Christians or Muslims or even those who have no principle, there we can find universal. Come to the third stage, he mentioned about bhavana. Bhavana, the development in our mind, understanding, proper understanding, the nature of our life. nature of this world, why the world is like this, why we are not happy with this life, why there are so many miserable, unhappy things, why there are disturbances. By considering, analyzing, understanding, we try to train our mind to face these problems. Because certain problems are unavoidable. There is no way for us to escape from certain problems. Then we must have courage to face them. We cannot run away from our problem. Certain problems we can overcome through understanding, by adapting certain technique to avoid. Certain problems we can stop completely if we know how to handle our life without disturbing others. So when we cultivate and analyze, understand this situation, that mental training, mental development, understanding, then we will be able to eradicate mental defilements or impurities. That is the highest stage. So in simple language, just now we explained these 3 stages and 5 principles. I think enough for the day.
Purantang parami sabde pacce kenayaka jivali guna tejitang paritang banamahitan najali titi jalitavi ayu amai Buddhasami Buddha Satyam Padumuttaro Nama Jino Sabba Dhamme Sucakkuma Ito Sata Sahasamhi Kappe Uppajjinayaku Jivalica Mahathero Oraho Pajjayadinang Piyo Deva Manusanang Piyo Brahmana Muttamang Piyo Naga Supannanang Indriyang namamahang Nasang simoca mosisang Nanajaliti sanjaling Sadeva manussa pujitang Sabbalabha bhavantuni Sattang dvara muruhang mahadukha samappitu mata me chandadanina eva masi sudukkita Kese sujijja manesu arahattama papuni Deva naga manussaca paccayanu panentimi Padumuttara namanca Vipassinca vinayakang Sampujayin pamudito paccayehi visesato Tato තේසං විශේෂේන කම්මානං විපුත්තමං ලාභං ලභාමි සබ්බත් වනේගාමි ජලේ තලේ කදා දේවෝ පනිතේහි මමත්තාය මහාමති පච්චයේහි මහා වීරෝ සංඝෝ ලෝකනායකෝ උපට්ඨිතෝ මයා බුද්ධෝ ගලත්වාරේවන මද්දස තතෝ ජේත වනං සන්ත්වා ඒත දග්ගේ තපේසිමං රේවතං දස්ස නත්ථාය යදායාති විනායකෝ ඉන්ද්‍ර බික්ඛු සහස්සේහි සුභාගෝ ලෝකග්ගනායකෝ ලාභීනං සීවලෝ අග්ගෝ මම සිස්සේසු භික්ඛවෝ සබ්බ ලෝකහිතෝ සත්තා ඉත්තයි පරිසාසුමං ඉලේසා ජාපිතා මයිහං භවා සබ්බේ සම්මුතා නාගෝච බන්ධනං ජිත්වා විහරාමි අනාසෝ ස්වාගතං වත මේ ආසී බුද්ධ සෙට්ඨස්ස සම්තිකං තිස්සෝ විජ්ජානුපත්තා සතං බුද්ධස්ස ශාසනං පටි සම්භිදා චත්තස්සෝච විමුක්ඛා පිච අට්ඨමි කල විඤ්ඤා සච්චි කතා කතං බුද්ධස්ස ශාසනං බුද්ධ පුත්තෝ මහාථේරෝ සීවලී ජින ශාවකෝ උග්ගතේජෝ මහා වීරෝ තේජසා ජින ශාසනං රක්ඛන්තෝ සීලතේ ජීන ධනවන්තේ අසස්සිනෝ එවං තේජානුභාවේනේ සදාරක්ඛන්තු සීවලී කප්පට්ඨායිති බුද්ධස්ස බෝධි මූලේ නිචීදය මාර මසනප්ප මද්දන්තෝ සදාරක්ඛන්තු සීවලී දස පාරමිතං පත්තෝ පබ්බජී ජින ශාසනී ගෝතම සක්්‍ය පුත්තෝ සීතේරේන මම සීවලී මාසාවතා අසීතින්තු පුන්නත්තේරෝ යසස්සිසෝ Buddha Dhamma Achintya Achintyesu Pasannanang Hitako Hoti Achintyo Tesang Satchena Silena Kanti Metta Balena Eti Manganu Rakhantu Sabba Dukkha Vinasanang Tesang Satchena Silena Kanti Metta Balena Eti Manganu Rakhantu Sabba Bhaya Vinasanang Tesang Satchena Silena Kanti Metta Balena Tepi Manganu Rakhantu Sabba Roga Vinasanang
Buddha Puja Savatsvimin Dharma Savane Kirimin Dham Pandu Puja Kirimin Labana Laddavu Sakala Kusala Punya Sambhara Dharma Yotumu Pratama Kota Loka Samrakshane Karannavu Indro Pendra Chandra Sekhara Prajapatyadi Samasta Amarendra Visinnan Modan Manulabatva Pratama Punyan Modanavin Adhikatar Chitta Santosa Bhaveta Paminiyavu Ema Deviyange Devanubhava Balayenha Srimat Buddhadi Satnatrayānubhāva balayada karana kotagena me badu nisala bala kusala kāmi sakala saddhāvanta satpurusa adīnta Iyātma bhāvasayin vannāvo sakalāntarāya sarvo padravayan Hirudutu ganadurattayin vihata viddhamsanaya karanu labatvā tavada me pinvatunge namin Nasimiya paralogiyavu maupiya guruvaradi yam kisi ඥාතිවරයෙක් පින්බලාපොරොත්තුවන අභව්‍යස්ථාන දුක්ඛයකට පැමිණ කර්ම අප්‍රත්‍ය වශයෙන් දුක් අනුභව කෙරෙත්නම් මෙම පින් අනුමෝදන් වීමෙන් එයින් මිදී සුගති ස්වර්ග සංඛ්‍යාත යහපත් දිව්‍ය සම්පත්තියටද පැමිණෙත්වා මේ සෑම දෙනමත් මෙතෙන් පටන් පරම රමණීය වූ තුන් නිවන් සිරි ලබනා කල් තුරා අවීචි ලෝකාන්තරිකාදී අතර නොපැතිර නිතර දුක් දෙන සතර අපායෝත්පත්ති දුකකට කිසිම කාලයකවත් නොපැමිණ මේ මනුෂ්‍ය ලෝකයට වඩා අග්‍රතම මෙති චාතුර් මහරාජිකාදී සදිව්‍ය ලෝකයන්හි විවිධ විචිත්‍ර චිත්‍ර කර්මාන්තෝජ්වලිත නීකමාල කෝප සෝභිත සුන්දරතර ස්වර්ණමණි මන්දිරාදීහි ධීර වීර වික්‍රමාන්විත වූ සක්‍රාදී සියලුම සදිව්‍ය ශ්‍රී සම්පත් වලදා නැවත මේ මිනිස් ලොව උපදනා කල්හි නොපිරිහෙන ලද්දා වූ සියලුම භවභෝගයක ඉතුරු ධන සේනා සම්පත් ආදිය ලදින් ලද සම්පත් කෙරෙහි කිසිත් මතුරු චේතනාවක් නොමැතිව දාන ආදී නොයෙකුත් සුචරිත ධර්මයන් පුරුදු පුහුණු කරමින් සතර පරිසරා වාසය කරන කල්හි සුරු බර කරන කොටගෙන සුර පුරින් බත භාගයක් මෙන් බබලන පරම රමණීය වූ කේතුමති නම් උත්තම රාජධානියෙහි සංජාතව නාගශ්‍රී බෝධින්ද්‍රම රාජයා කරායලඹ සපරිවාර මාර පරාජය කොට ලෝතුරා බුද්ධ රාජ රාජ්‍යයට පැමිණ වදාරනු ලබන්නා වූ කල්යාණ මිත්‍ර මෛත්‍රේය බුදුරජාණන් වහන්සේ දැකීමෙන් හා උන්වහන්සේ විසින් සකල ජන හෘදයානන්ද කොට අපරිමිත සර්වඥ ගුණ බහා මුළු ලොව ප්‍රකම්පිත කරමින් දේශනා කර වදාරනු ලබන්නා වූ දුක්ඛ සමුදය නිරෝධ මාර්ග සංඛ්‍යාත චතුරතර චතුරාර්ය සත්‍ය මිහිරි ශ්‍රී සද්ධර්ම දේශනාවත් එම දේශනාවසානයේ සෝවාන් සතරදාගාමි අනාගාමි අරහත් යන සතර මඟ සතර ඵලයන්ත පැමිණීමෙන් කෙළවර නිත්‍ය මංගල පරම සුන්දර අතිශාන්ත සුඛ ප්‍රණීත ප්‍රවරතර අංග අමෘත මහා නිර්වාණ සම්පත් ලබන්ත මෙම පුණ්‍ය කර්මයෙහි නියුක්ත දායක කාරකාදී මේ සියලු දෙනාටම හේතු වාසනා වේවයි සිතා චිත්ත ප්‍රීතියෙන් යුක්තව සාදරයෙන් පින් අනුමෝදන් විය යුතුය. බුද්ධ පූජා පැවැත්වීමෙන් ධර්ම ශ්‍රවණය කිරීමෙන් දහම් පඬුරු පූජා කිරීමෙන් ලබන ලද්දා වූ සකල කුසල පුණ්‍ය සම්භාර ධර්මයෝ තුමෝ ප්‍රථම කොට ලෝක සංරක්ෂණය කරන්නා වූ ඉන්ද්‍රෝපේන්ද්‍ර චන්ද්‍රසේඛර ප්‍රජාපති ආදී සමස්ත අමරේන්ද්‍රයන් විසින් අනුමෝදන් වනු ලබත්වා ප්‍රථම පුණ්‍යානුමෝදනාවෙන් අධිකතර චිත්ත සන්තෝෂ භාවයට පැමිණියා වූ එම දෙවියන්ගේ දේවානුභාව බලයෙන් හා ශ්‍රීමත් බුද්ධාදී රත්නත්‍රයානුභාව බලයද කරන කොටගෙන මෙබඳු නිසල බල කුසල කාමී සකල ශ්‍රද්ධාවන්ත සත්පුරුෂාදීන්ට ඉහාත්ම භාවයෙන් වන්නා වූ සකලාන්තරාය සර්වෝපද්‍රවයන් හිරුදුතු ගණදුරස්සෙන් විහත විද්වංසනය කරනු ලබත්වා තවද මේ පින්වතුන්ගේ නමින් නැතිමිය පරලොව ගියා වූ මව්පිය ගුරුවරාදී යම් කිසි ඥාතිවරයෙක් පින් බලාපොරොත්තු වන අභව්‍ය ස්ථාන දුක්ඛයකට පැමිණ කර්ම ප්‍රත්‍ය වශයෙන් දුක් අනුභව කෙරෙත්නම් මෙම පින් අනුමෝදන් වීමෙන් එයින් මිදී සුගති ස්වර්ග සංඛ්‍යාත යහපත් දිව්‍ය සම්පත්තියටද පැමිණෙත්වා මේ සෑම දෙනමත් මෙතෙන් පටන් පරම රමණීය වූ තුන් නිවන් සිරි ලබනාතා කල්තුරා අවීචි ලෝකාන්තරිකාදී අතර නොපැතිර නිතර දුක් දෙන සතර අපායෝත්පත්ති දුකකට කිසිම කාලයකවත් නොපැමිණ මේ මනුෂ්‍ය ලෝකයට වඩා අග්‍රතවතුම් මෙති චාතුරු මහරාජිකාදී සදිව්‍ය ලෝකයන්හි විවිධ විචිත්‍ර චිත්‍ර කර්මාන්තෝජ්වලිත නීකමාලකෝපසෝභිත සුන්දරතර ස්වර්ණමණි මන්දිරාදීෙහි ධීර වීර වික්‍රමාන්විත වූ සක්‍රාදී සියලුම සදිව්‍ය ශ්‍රී සම්පත් වලදා නැවත මේ මිනිස් ලොව උපදනා කල්හි නොපිරිහෙන ලද්දා වූ සියලුම භවභෝගයක ඉතුරු ධන සේනා සම්පත් ආදිය ලදින් ලද සම්පත් කෙරෙහි කිසිත් මසුරු චේතනාවක් නොමැතිව දාන ආදී නොයෙකුත් සුචරිත ධර්මයන් පුරුදු පුහුණු කරමින් සසර සැරිසරා වාසය කරන කල්හි සුරු බර කරන කොටගෙන සුර පුරින් බට භාගයක් මෙන් බබලන පරම රමණීය වූ කේතුමති නම් උත්තම රාජධානියෙහි සංජාතව නාගශ්‍රී බෝධින්ද්‍රම රාජයා කරා එළඹ සපරිවාර මාර පරාජය කොට ලෝතුරා බුද්ධ රාජ්‍යයට පැමිණවදාරනු ලබන්නා වූ කල්යාණ මිත්‍ර මෛත්‍රේය බුදුරජාණන් වහන්සේ දැකීමෙන් හා උන්වහන්සේ විසින් සකල ජන හෘදයානන්ද කොට අපරිමිත සර්වඥ ගුණ බහා මුළු ලොව ප්‍රකම්පිත කරමින් දේශනා කර වදාරනු ලබන්නා වූ දුක්ඛ සමුදය නිරෝධ මාර්ග සංඛ්‍යාත චතුරාර්ය සත්‍ය මිහිරි ශ්‍රී සද්ධර්ම